everyone, Magnus is facing the youngest 2700 ever. Before we go into details of this game, let's go back 5 years ago. When Magnus faced Nepo in the World Championship, Magnus in one of the games, probably game number 6, which is the 8-hour games, he said, I was just a little bit more patient than him. This is actually a crazy weapon. In this tournament, this was round number 7, and it's not about the number of the round, it's actually the last round, in which Magnus has to win, because he is half point below or behind Irigaisi, who's leading the tournament. He got now 4 out of 6, and Irigaisi got 4.5 out of 6. And he needs to win the game in order to fight for the tournament. So he started with d4. Yaz, his opponent, played d5, knight f3, and here Yaz surprised him with this idea of c5, which is actually kind of computerish line. But Magnus replied with c4. By the way, I have witnessed this opening happen between Magnus as white versus Fedosiev in the Olympiad 2 years ago, in which Fedosiev won and beat Magnus. So after c4, Magnus played c4 here, d takes c4, and simply having the center with e4, opening diagonals. C takes d4, queen d4, queen d4, knight d4, and he has this thinking like, what is this guy doing? Like, he's the strongest man ever lived. This is my opinion. Yeah, I don't know about your opinion. Write me in the comments. And he's playing a very simple chess. Like, is this the way you are going to fight for the win? Hello, Magnus. You are in the must-win situation. And Magnus said, let me be a bit patient. Let me teach you a lesson of patience. So after knight takes d4, bishop d7, bishop takes c4, and now knight c6, attacking the knight on d4, so bishop e3, improving and supporting the knight. But Yaz is confused now. Like, again, you sacrifice the queens, so no more attacks, and now you're sacrificing more pieces, and the pawn structure is symmetrical, 2 versus 2, 4 versus 4. What are you doing, Magnus? Magnus said, stay more patient. e6. Now Magnus played f3 in order to vacate the square for the king. By the way, in the end game, we need to use the king, not to hide the king. So after e6, f3, knight e7 is played, and now king f2. Followed by knight c6, attacking the bishop, and now the bishop to e3. And Yaz played a very nice move, rook c8. Why rook c8? Adding more pressure against the bishop, and in the meantime, ideas like knight e5, maybe it's going to happen. Knight d2, supporting the bishop, and now knight e5 first, which is actually a very interesting idea. Attacking the bishop, and in the meantime, controlling the c5 square for the rook, so you can exchange more pieces. And Yaz is again thinking like confused, like, I know you need to win this game. You're the higher rated, you play the tournament in order to win that tournament, so what's going on? Magnus took, taking back, and now rook h to c1. Let's exchange more pieces. Are you serious? This is actually the way to play for a draw, not to play for a win. Magnus said, let's be a little bit more patient. Rook takes c1, rook takes c1, threatening rook c7, threatening the pawn. For example, probably king e7 was a good idea, but I mean rook c7 is always annoying. So he has played knight c6 in order to stop this. And now if e5 came, there's just a dead symmetrical position. So in order to make some imbalances in the pawn structure, Magnus played e5. Whereas went king e7 and now f4. Because, one more time, if you take knight takes e5, there is this annoying idea rook c7. Because now b7 is under threat, and if you go bishop c6 to protect, rook c8 and you lose your rook. Okay, that's clear. That's why king e7 and now knight e5 is a threat, so f4. And here rook c8. Completely fine. Very interesting, very strong, very solid performance by Yaz, but look at his time. 33 minutes. And by the way, he has a huge problem with time management, in which, if he did not solve it, he will not reach higher level. So after rook c8, Magnus played the calm move, a3, making Yaz more confusing. Now, focus on what I'm going to say. If you are trying or defending to draw, First, do not change the pawn structure. This is a very, very important rule. Do not change the pawn structure. Here in this position, Yaz, for my opinion, has to stay the same, as solid as it is, and play h6, maybe rook c7, go back, ideas like b6, just keep the structure, keep the symmetry as possible, as much as possible. But he played actually a move in a wrong direction, f6, where Magnus actually played, because he wanted to make some imbalances in the pawn structure. E takes f6, if king f6, then there will be 3 islands, actually, island, 2 islands, 3 islands. The more islands you have in the end game, the weaker your position is. So after e takes f6, g takes f6 is played, and now Magnus saw this pawn alone and played rook c3. The threat is rook h3, attacking the pawn on h7. So he has found a very interesting idea, which is knight d4. And after knight d4, he said to Magnus, I am offering rook's exchange, and if you want to go to h3, then I will go rook c2, and I will have a great counterplay. And this is actually true. The knight cannot move because you will lose the bishop. Clear. So what happened in the game was, I don't want to allow counterplays. I will take. But again, I am even much more confused now. Hello, Magnus. You exchange every single piece, just 2 pieces left on the board. What's going on? And after that, he took bishop takes c8. Magnus said, be more patient. Bishop d3, attacking. Now only move. See now, listen to this only move song, yeah? Only moves h6. Other than h6, there's h5, there's f5, you lost the game. Or, great advantage for white. King e3, improving the king, attacking the knight went back, and now knight f3, improving the knight. Great. b6 happened, which is actually a scientific move, in order to put the pawns on the opposite color of your bishop and your opponent's bishop, so they cannot be attacked. And now Magnus played g4. And here he has played a very important defensive move, which is e5. Why this is very important defensive move? Because the defender should and must exchange pawns. The attacker, or the one who tries to win, needs to keep as much pawns as possible. The understanding behind this, a bishop versus knight and bishop is a draw without pawns. And knight versus knight and bishop is again a draw without pawns. So if black is left with 1 pawn or white left with 1 extra pawn, then easily can be sacrificed with a minor piece and it will be a draw. That's why you need not to exchange minor pieces or pawns, sorry. So after e5, h3. Okay, I will exchange the minimum number of pawns. So after h3, king d6, the king is improved, and now knight d2. Let's go back and keep the tension. E takes f4. Thank you. You were not that much patient, and you let my king improved, which is again another step in the wrong direction. Yes, true, the position still draw, but you are improving my position slowly, slightly. And now, knight e5 happened, attacking the bishop, where Magnus played bishop f5, asking for a bishop's exchange. But if you exchange, which is a very normal idea, then the king will be improved, and after king e7, protecting the pawns, knight e4 will add more pressure, and white is much better all of a sudden. So it's not a very easy position to play. Great. Bishop b7, and now bishop c2, threatening king f5. The easiest idea is to play bishop c8, again keeping the position as it is. Do not change the nature of the position. But in this position, Yaz tried to play actively and went to bishop g2, attacking the pawn on h3, allowing king f5, but I'm threatening a pawn. So Magnus replied with king g3, attacking, protecting. Bishop d5, back king f4, and Yaz are you serious? Bishop g2. But now look at his time, 4 minutes. By the way, guys, I need to mention this. Yaz is not trained. Normally in his chess career, he did not face this type of chess in which we play an end game and we seriously played it, yeah? I mean, it's very, very rare to see such ideas, especially on the higher level. Like either we create something in the opening and in the middle game, or if we play a drawish ending, we will make a quick draw and look for the other game, yeah, for the next game. So after bishop g2, Magnus played h4. Did not want to exchange pawns, yeah, because he's the one who's fighting for the win. King e7 back, which is the best move. But again, he does have 4 minutes. 5 more moves to reach 40 moves, and then got the extra 30 minutes. b3, why b3? Because if you move the knight somewhere, say knight b1, there is always this idea of knight c4, attacking here and there. So it's a bit annoying. That's why b3 first, in order to stop knight c4 or to limit that choice. Bishop h3, attacking here on g4, and Magnus played bishop f5. Again, if you are the one who is trying to win, you have to, and you need to keep as much pawns as possible. Again, for number 2 or 3, the only move for black was bishop g2, and it's played. Yeah, otherwise king g3 is coming and the bishop will be taken. So that's why bishop g2 is played, and now it's a very important decision. Magnus played knight e4, and after knight e4, Magnus is kind of threatening knight takes f6. Like for example, if a5, knight takes f6, king f6, there's this idea of g5, like you take, I take back, and now the knight cannot be protected, and I will be extra pawn, and it's completely winning for white. Because, for example, after king g7, I'll take, and then coming for the pawns, and will queen easily, yeah? But, again, reminder, if you are a defender, do not change the nature of the position. The nature of the position means exchanging more pieces or changing the pawn structure. Here in this position, black simply could avoid this by moving the knight away. f7, c6, or even the best, knight d3 check. And after king e3, simply go back. And black is doing very fine. But he was not aware of this idea. Why? Because he's not aware of this kind of chess. The chess that is based not on good moves or bad moves, based on who's more patient. And he took bishop takes e4. And this is actually a very bad move. Why? Because he has changed the nature of the position and create imbalance, giving a bishop versus a knight. Bishop takes e4. And actually, this reminds me of a series we started lately. Talks about Capablanca, and in that game there was a knight or a bishop or Capablanca versus a knight. And there is a very nice rule I will remind you with. If there are pawns on the two wings of the board, for example, on the queen side and on the king side, then the bishop is normally and usually better than a knight, because the bishop can control pawns here and pawns there, can support a pawn in one direction and stop another pawn in another direction. Great, but this is still not winning. But the only move for the third or fourth time, and it's move number 39, was knight f7. Did Yaz found it? Yes, he did. That's why he's the youngest 2700 for a reason. After knight f7, one of the points is to stop king f5, because after king f5 there is this interesting idea, knight d6. Not in order to take the bishop, but in order to keep or kick this king away, yeah? And again, it's a draw. So after knight f7, Magnus played bishop to b5, knight d6, a4, stopping ideas like knight b5. Both players here got 30 extra minutes, king d7 by Yaz. And now b4. Magnus improved the pawn structure. Great. Now knight c8 is played. Very good move. Again, it's a draw, yeah? Again, the point, if you go king f5, there is knight e7, and you need to go back, yeah? You cannot improve, you cannot take pawns because the bishop is under fire. Great. Magnus played king e4. Yaz played knight e7, which seems a bit weird to me, because, I mean, you found ideas like knight d6 and it was a draw. Why did you change your mind? Is it very bad? No, it's not bad. King d4 and just keep waiting. Yeah, keep waiting. I'm good like this. There is no improvement. I found a setup. I found a structure. Stick to it, yeah? Again, this is the right mentality that I'm telling you this, and I'm repeating this, highlighting this, because you can get it in your games no matter what your level is, yeah? This is a very important defensive mentality. So knight e7 happened, again king d4, again in this position. As I said, do not change the nature of the position, do not exchange pieces creating imbalances, or do not exchange the pawn structure. What he has played here, he should have played king here, knight g6, or keep waiting, doing nothing, like even king e8, yeah, because there's no improvement. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of a fortress. No king c5, no king e5, and no king d5. A question, if I just keep waiting, what can you do? Like, it's a serious question. Like, if king d6, king c7, there's nothing can be done, yeah? It's just completely dead draw. But he has played f5. Why? Because he wants to finish the game off. He felt like uncomfortable. He is not used to play such kind of chess. And where, like, I am pretending that I'm doing something, you're pretending that you're defending against something, and nobody is doing anything to anyone. No, let's just exchange everything and make a draw. But Magnus said, thank you for a passer. Yes, I mean, it's stopped for now, limited, but it will annoy you. It will keep your mind busy defending. Now king d6, the best move. Again, the only move. King d6. Okay. Now actually the pawn on f6 was defending against king e5. Now this king is overloaded defending here. Bishop b7 because the bishop was under attack. Knight g6 was a good move. King c4. Idea is now like king b5, king a6 is coming. Knight f8 back, which is fine. Bishop c8 now attacking the pawn. f4 was completely fine, but knight e6 is played. And now this pawn is under fire. Magnus calculating bishop e6, and he found it's not a good idea. So he found this idea of g6. Again, the knight cannot move because of g7. So what can you do? Now you have only two moves to survive the game. Otherwise, you're losing. Either you go knight g7 or you go f4. Why this is actually happening over and over and over again? Because Yaz is exchanging all the time the way of thinking. He's not thinking in like schemes way, like from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. No. 1, 5, 7, 9, etc. Yeah? There's no systematic thinking, which is stick to a certain setup. And he played a bad move actually, which was king e7. And he was completely losing after this. Why? Because of king b5. Why he lost the game? Because Magnus was more patient. Secret. Just being more patient. He tried, yes, he tried. He did not resign. He tried this idea of f4. But king a6, f3. Simply the only move right, but it's not very tough to find. King takes. The point is, I don't want to go bishop b7, because then you'll go f2 and I'll lose too much time, yeah? I don't want to lose all of this time. Like knight takes, and after king takes a7, knight f4 back, king takes b7, and the question, can I like can I queen or not? It's not easy to be answered. That's why here Magnus played king a7, and after f2 just bishop a6, yeah? That did not happen, and actually he has played a very interesting move, which is b5. Hoping for something like a takes b5 and then f2, and you don't have bishop a6, though still it's a kind of a draw, because I do have this idea of g7, but Magnus again found a very interesting idea, which is g7. The point is I wanted to queen, and the only move is knight takes g7. You might ask me why, like there's king f7, yes, but king f7 there's bishop e6 check. You cannot take as I will queen, and if you take here, I will simply take and the queen, and my bishop will protect the pawn, and I'll be winning. That's why after g7, knight takes g7 actually is played, and simply a takes b5. f2 yes happened, but simply bishop h3. There's no queen. Knight whatever, just b6. Knight d4, whatever, b7. Knight c6 check. Now Magnus played king a8, and what he has did was resigning the game. The point is b8 is coming, and you cannot stop it. f1 is protected by the queen, and even if you bring your king to the game, like I'll queen, and you might think of, okay, I'll go here. No, you cannot go here. And even if you, I don't know how can you manage to attack my pawn, but even if you manage to do so, like simply the bishop is protecting the pawn, the king is coming, and the pawn will be queening. Even if I was forced to come here and to take your pawn, I'll do it, and I'll come back to win that game, which was easy actually, just to promote and meet with the queen. So again, I mean, this is actually fascinating. Why this is fascinating? Because it's a weapon That's no one is going to teach you. Yaz and his generation is focusing too much on opening preparations, very deep opening computer lines, etc., etc. But they are not focusing on this kind of chess. The patience chess. The chess who depends on who's more patient. And this is actually a very, very important aspect in chess. And this is actually where Magnus is unique. And this is the quality that decided a world championship between Magnus and Nepo. One of the greatest players ever, who won candidates two times in a row. But because Magnus was more patient and still much more patient than his opponent, he's playing in this kind of chess. And even if you manage to draw the game, the next game you will come to play against him where you are very tired, because he's doing this all of his life. You're not used to. You're always thinking about playing a good opening. After that you got slight advantage. Either you improve it or the game will be becoming equal, and that's it. Or the other way around, you made a mistake early on, you defend a bet, you're losing the game, and that's it. But you're not used to play an opening, play a middle game, play an end game, play an end game, play an end game. Always I said, most of Magnus's games, especially classical games, I feel they are kind of 3-4 games combined, yeah? You're playing 3-4 games together in the same time, in the same game. You are tested too many times. You are solving too many problems than usual in a single game. I hope this explanation is helpful for you. Actually, Magnus went on to win the tournament. I am sure that you have seen analysis here and there on YouTube. I don't want to be repetitive, yeah? But I want to give you a good quality out of this, which is when you are defending. First, be as much patient as you can be. Second, do not change the nature of the position, either the pawn structure, or if you're playing, for example, a knight and a bishop versus a knight and a bishop, either you exchange the bishops together or the knights together, but never create imbalances, because there where you might get wrong, where you could make mistakes. Thanks for watching again. I hope you subscribe and make a like, comments, etc. This stuff in order to support me. Thanks for watching and see you in another one.